Today, I want to share with you, just help you understand why men have been suffering for so long, carrying around decades, if not generations, of emotional baggage. Emotional baggage, the stuff that's been weighing us down and affecting our relationships, affecting our physical health, affecting our emotions, affecting the quality of our thinking, really affecting every aspect of our lives. And it's important for us men to understand, to really understand that there is a deep and urgent need to clear the backlog of old unresolved emotions so that we can live fully present in the moment and we can have a clear vision of where we're going. So, today I'm going to help you understand what emotional baggage is. I'm going to help you understand how it's been affecting you, especially for us men, because we have not been given the tools to properly navigate our emotions. And then I'm going to help you to understand what I've learned about emotions through my work as a coach, through my work as a guide, helping men to transform their lives, and in my own journey. Also, understanding how we can better understand our emotions through the understanding of NLP, neuro linguistic programming. I'm also going to teach you a little bit about how you can start to really navigate and understand, bring awareness to your emotions, as well as give you some understandings of what would happen if you don't do this. What happens if you keep going down the same old path? So stick with me over the next 10, 15 minutes or so, and I'm going to give you a nice, simple, yet deep dive into understanding emotional baggage and how it's been affecting us. So I work as a men's transformation coach. I help men to go from drained to driven so that they can break free from burnout, addiction, anxiety, depression, all of the ailments of the modern man, so that we can remember how to embody true, authentic masculinity, have a clear vision of where we're going, and be able to show up in our community, in our relationships, and in our work so that we can help to evolve this world as we continue to elevate into a higher level of awareness and human consciousness. So, first and foremost, what is emotional baggage? Well, emotional baggage is really talking about unresolved and unprocessed emotions. Now, these emotions actually exist in our unconscious mind and they exist in our body. Our unconscious mind is really responsible for keeping our body alive and safe. And what it does is it has this powerful ability to be able to repress or hold back unresolved emotional states until we're ready to deal with them. However, if we don't have the tools, the environment, the support, the encouragement to be able to deal with those emotions, they can get stuck. They actually get stuck and they manifest, they show up in physical ailments. And this isn't just cancer and other issues. I'm talking about actual injuries, physical repeat injuries. The thing is that if we don't have the capacity or the knowledge of how to process our emotions, it shows up in our body. Now, the thing is that our emotions actually create the chemicals in our body. It's the channel, the link between our thinking mind, which is connected to our higher self, the more it's just really this connection to the universe, connection to all that is. But it starts out, we start out with thoughts, and those thoughts affect and create emotions. Those emotions create hormones and chemical signals and different compounds in the system that actually create changes in the physical body. That's why somebody could tell you, oh, hey, did you forget about the homework tomorrow? Or, hey, you remember that deadline that we have to deal with at work? And if you had forgotten about that, you can immediately start feeling fear, which can translate into stressing the nervous system. Your sympathetic nervous system will start activating, and then you're going to start to feel things like adrenaline, cortisol, the stress hormone, and other different compounds that are going to affect the way you're actually showing up in the world. But it's not just the way it physically affects us. Unprocessed and unresolved experiences, unresolved emotions, and we're talking about things that are associated with traumas that you experienced, whether it was you as a child or even recent, uh, perhaps the ending of relationships, failures, career mistakes, issues with your family, conflicts that you may have experienced, or even just emotions that haven't been fully processed that come up from watching a movie, watching the news, which by God, stop. watching the news that is designed to keep you in stressful emotional states. So the cool thing is that once we start to clear up this emotional baggage, we get to have more bandwidth, more space, more energy to be able to connect with our true self and to be able to focus on the things that we desire most, our authentic relationships, our goals, our career vision, whatever that might be for you. So here's the thing. If you are looking to grow, if you are a high performer and you want to go further, you want to push to new levels, you want to expand and become a better, bigger version of yourself, you need to process and release your emotional baggage. Now, I want to help you understand a little bit more about how we see emotional baggage through the tool of neurolinguistic programming, NLP. This is the primary tool that I use with my clients, which is really getting into the neurology of our body and our system and using language to rewire and reprogram, just like deleting an app from your phone. Now, every one of us has trauma. I don't care who you are, how old you are, or how good your childhood seems like it might have been. Trauma doesn't have to be that you were beaten and abused, or you were in car wrecks, or you had to go to the military. Trauma is just anything that has a long-term emotional and mental effect on us. And so that being said, emotions, energy in motion, is something that comes up when we experience any types of these traumas, or really any experience that we have day to day. And if we don't allow that energy to flow through us, to be felt in the moment and to be released, then it's going to get stuck. Now, I don't know about you. As a man, I grew up with no emotional intelligence. Unfortunately, our society does not value or prioritize emotional intelligence. It certainly doesn't teach it to men. And in fact, most men are shamed for being in connection with their emotions. And so, understanding through neurolinguistic programming, what we can see is that we can either allow our emotions to control us, or we can start to learn how to control and navigate our emotions. Now, there's a lot of different techniques to do that. Some of them are extremely advanced, but extremely effective while still being relatively simple. But I want to give you an understanding of how you can start to connect with your emotions now. The thing is, I would say the biggest and most important way that you can connect with your emotions on your own is through a practice of journaling. Now, I know when I first got introduced to the topic of journaling, I always had this thought about a young girl with her, laying on her belly with her feet kicked up on her bedroom in like high school or something, and writing in that little diary, having a little lock key or something on the front of it, and maybe even yelling at her mom for breaking in and trying to read her diary. This is not that. I'm talking about serious self reflection, journaling for the understanding of yourself. Right? This is the stuff that was practiced by Stoics, by the greatest leaders, by the greatest thought thinkers, the thought leaders and thinkers, by the people who really made a difference in the world. Self-reflection is key. If you don't reflect on what you are, who you are, what you're experiencing, what you're feeling, especially as men, it tends to get stuck. And that stuck energy affects us going forward. Just think about this. If you had a lot of unprocessed anger and you didn't deal with it, your anger is going to come up at some point, especially when you're least expecting it or when you don't want it to. And so that anger can show up in a certain way. Let's say if you get cut off on the freeway. You're driving on the freeway, someone cuts you off in traffic, and if you have a normal level of anger, if you're just experiencing life as a human and you're going to experience anger, I can't make you not experience anger. You're going to experience it. However, if you don't have a whole emotional backlog, you might, I don't know, you might swear at the person. You might feel that the heart rate increase. You might feel a little bit of blood rush to the head, but you're probably not going to like scream and yell and fly off the handle. But if you have an extremely long backlog of emotional anger issues that you have not processed, how it's going to show up is you might end up being the guy with road rage. You push the person off the side of the road, you grab a bat out of your trunk and you start swinging, right? That's not how we want to show up. That is allowing our emotions to control us instead of us learning how to navigate and control our emotions. Now, I don't mean that you need to repress your emotions completely because that's dangerous, right? We want to learn how to process them. We want to learn how to give them the space that they need. And even it's important to be able to have a conscious conversation with your unconscious mind and say, hey, I feel that emotion coming up right now. I don't have space for it. Can you put this on the back burner so that I can get to it a little bit later? And I trust me that the unconscious mind will absolutely give you an opportunity to deal with it later on. Now, what I want to do is tell you how you can use journaling to process your emotions. I have a simple series of questions that I work through every day. You can look them up. You can go and I highly recommend check out the Stoics, and you can even look at Stoic journaling processes. But the questions that I use, typically speaking, are going to be, well, something like, what is it that I felt today? What was challenging today? What was exciting today? Because it's not just our negative emotions that we want to pay attention to. We also want to give space to our positive emotions. In that process, as you start to just read these questions and allow them to pass over you and ask them to yourself, ask them silently to yourself, and your unconscious mind will help you to start responding, whether typing or writing, possibly even voice noting. You can allow this unconscious flow of energy to help you to get connected with those emotions as they come up. The nice thing about journaling as a morning and I would say at least an evening practice, if not both morning and evening, is that you're giving yourself regular space so that you can connect with your emotions and allow them to be processed. Now, the thing is that we can also use our emotions for our benefit. Now, I work with a technique called anchoring. This is something where I can anchor by pressing on a knuckle, by helping you to walk into an imaginary circle in front of you, by putting on a ring of power. You can connect with old emotions that you felt before that were empowering, that were positive, that were uplifting. And I can anchor them to a certain physical trigger that will then, on your demand, allow you to access those emotional states. The cool thing about this is that it gives you the ability to tap into highly powerful and motivating emotions at will. In fact, earlier this morning when I walked into my office, I walked into my ring of power, this imaginary circle in front of me that I have anchored repeatedly with a variety of different high state emotions. And I use that to essentially launch myself into a workday where I can be more effective. Because I know you know this, that there is a difference of how you feel and how much motivation you can cultivate when you're feeling depressed or anxious and when you're feeling passionate and driven. Now, what I want you to do is just give yourself 10 minutes tonight. Write down a few journaling prompts and then start answering them. In fact, I'll give you a few here in the comments below. And if you want some more, go ahead and comment below and I can send you a few links to some different sites that have really helped me to shift my perspective on journaling. Now, the first thing that you're going to do is give yourself that space to journal. And if you want to take it to the next level, I would highly encourage you to look into breath work, breathing exercises. Now, I do one-on-one work. You can book a session with me on my website. If you just go to thecrystallineman.com, there'll be a link below /booking. Or you can also work with a variety of other processes or companies online that are really great at facilitating breathing exercises, which is awesome for us men doing an active, intense practice to be able to stimulate and pull energy into the body so that we can then allow the energy to come out through emotional expression is an amazing way for us as men to connect with our emotions and allow them to process. The breath is so intelligent. You know, it was said in the Bible that, God breathed life into the nostrils of man. Breath is life, breath is intelligence. And when we breathe, and especially when we breathe in a more intense and conscious way, we can absolutely use that breath to stimulate the body, to allow it to release those emotions, which will help us to clear the backlog. Now, the benefits of this are you're going to experience much more mental clarity. You're not going to be triggered as much as you were in the past. And you're also going to experience improved physical health because any of the ailments or injuries that you're experiencing, oftentimes, well, I would say 99% of the time, is connected to a mental or an emotional pattern, some sort of a limiting belief or unprocessed emotional baggage. If you want to learn more about that, I highly recommend for you to check out the book by Dr. John Sarno, which is The Divided Mind. Fantastic book, straight to the point, tells you and explains to you that Anything you're experiencing in the body, you're actually experiencing in the mental body and the emotional body first. So here's the thing. If you need greater support than what maybe a few breathwork sessions or a little bit of journaling can do for you, I would highly encourage you to reach out and learn more about my coaching program because I help men to clear the backlog, decades and decades of emotions like that, using very powerful focus techniques, such as we find in neurolinguistic programming. One specifically that's really powerful is timeline therapy, where we can actually go back, shift our perspective on the events that we experienced in the past, and immediately and instantaneously release the stuck emotional baggage so that you can be free to go forward. Now, here's the thing. If you want to learn more, please check out my website. You can also follow me here, like, subscribe, and maybe even share this with somebody who you believe could benefit from this information. And I want you to go ahead and check out my teacher's information on NLP.com. His name is Dr. Matt James. He's got a lot of great trainings and he also has a lot of great content here on YouTube. So if you're interested in learning more, please check it out. His teachings have helped to drastically change my life. And I'm looking forward to connecting with you further. So thank you so much for checking in with this. I hope that this has been valuable for you because really understanding that I had an emotional backlog and that I needed to clear it shifted my perspective and shifted the quality of my life dramatically.